Hello and welcome to Pro Tour Yokohama. I'm Randy Bueller. I'm here with Brian David Marshall, and we have got one hell of a quarterfinal matchup set up for you guys. This top 8 is historic. 23 individual top 8s all told, and here's 10 of them. 4 for Mark Herberholz in the orange. There you see him. He's piloting a control deck, blue-black control, mystical teachings. He told the team, we'll put a splash of white in, that we'll own the field with this deck. And he went straight to the top of the Swiss, stayed there the whole weekend, playing against Masashi Oiso, the Japanese superstar. Rattled off 5 top 8s in 3 years a couple years ago, got to the top of the game, decided to take some time off to get serious about school. The Pro Tour comes back to his backyard, and now he shows up and says, hi, I'm still Masashi Oiso, and here's top 8 number 6.
He says, I'm one of the most technically proficient players on the planet. Someone hand me a deck.
That's exactly what happened. He got handed a red-green deck.
Very Finkel-esque.
Absolutely. Got handed a red-green deck by a buddy of his that he played with when he was first starting to play. They were teammates in Masashi's first Pro Tour way back in 2001. Nice, pretty solid red-green deck. And
play tested it against legacy decks at university.
Now this is the start. Masashi got the Search for Tomorrow on the first turn. That's nice. He really wants to accelerate up, and he'll get to do that. Looks like Herberholz just has a Plains and a Storage Land so far.
He's got to feel better here than he would feel against one of the other red-green decks. There's only 2 Avalanche Riders and 4 Acid Moss. I mean, it's a little less likely that there's...
Still 6 LDs. Does Oiso have the... does he take the big man advantage here?
See what's happening.
Wall of Roots. Turn 3 Wall of Roots.
No 4th land.
No 4th land.
Yeah. Wall of Roots, he called it the best wall ever.
Wall of Roots is... Yes. Wall of Roots is amazing.
I
Always was.
That's the only card Raphael Levy doesn't want to see. That's the card he's scared of in the top 8.
Sure. I mean, it comes out, it blocks the beatdown decks, and it accelerates. Absolutely awesome card. Wow, Oiso looks like he's got a handful of Spectral Forces and can't get the 5th land. Yeah, 2 different copies of Spectral Force, and then some Dead Gons.
Looking at that hand, and you wonder if he ends up with the 4th land there. Feels like Herberholz would really be back on his heels very quickly.
Herberholz did have cancel mana available.
No, he didn't. He had a Terramorphic Expanse.
Oh, a Terramorphic Expanse. Yeah, Spectral Force would have just resolved there.
Yeah, that was a window where Herberholz's deck was kind of naked. And
I mean, Herberholz's deck does have a fair amount of ability to kill creatures. He's got 4 copies of Damnation. He's got a couple Sudden Deaths, a couple Tendrils of Corruption, Mystical Teachings to search him up. Teferi's Moat.
Well, Teferi's Moat is a great card here.
Oiso have any ability to remove it?
Let's see.
I don't even see it in the sideboard.
No.
Not even in the sideboard. Yeah, that was one of the things Herberholz came up with. He's just so good at finding a soft spot in a constructed field and figuring out how to exploit it. He's like, nobody's prepared for Teferi's Moat. And he's right. Even the decks that could be sideboarding the answers to it aren't.
Oiso doesn't even have the Word of Seizing that allows you to
get in once.
Take it for 1 turn. So Call of the Herd for Oiso.
Yep, Call of the Herd from Oiso.
It's funny, one of the things we were talking to Herberholz about the deck, and he was kidding around calling the one Teferi's Moat in his main deck a Miser's Moat.
It's like not like he can search it up.
He said, I got that from Nassif. Nassif will put 1 card in his deck, and yeah, Nassif put 2 in his deck. He had 3 total.
Well, how many does he have in the sideboard?
Well, he has 1.
Oh, 1, so he can only go to 2. Oiso draws Prismatic Lens, so still just struggling to get to that 5th mana. Elephant Token replaces the Bob Maher Jr. player card.
So, I mean, don't you feel like we've seen top 8s in the last year that have had fewer total top 8s than are in this match?
There's 10 top 8s playing here. Yes, definitely. Yeah, Oiso sighs and plays a Prismatic Lens. His deck has not come out of the gates quickly here. He's had time to set up his mana. I'm not sure I like the Disenchant.
Mark Herberholz playing the land destruction game instead of Oiso.
Elephant gets in again. 3 damage. Easy down to 14.
Does Oiso have an Urborg out?
You mean Herberholz?
I'm sorry, does Herberholz have an Urborg out?
No, not yet.
He'd be fine with Oiso having an Urborg out,
Yeah, that's
too.
true. Definitely one of the key cards in this format. Urborg has allowed those blue-black control decks. Most of them did splash a third color, whether it was white, whether it was red. And yet still, Tendrils of Corruption was able to be amazing because they all run multiple copies of Urborg. I actually kind of like the way Heezy's got his deck set up because he's got 3 Urborgs in the main and only 2 Tendrils of Corruption, but the sideboard has the 4th Urborg and the 3rd and 4th Tendrils.
Right.
So if he's in the beatdown matchup, he can go up to the max 4 and 4.
He does not think it's possible for him to lose to
Well, there's Damnation. 2 Elephants and a Wall of Roots down.
Right. More land destruction from Herberholz.
And very smart. I mean, didn't even hesitate. Disenchanted that Prismatic Lens. Now he wraps away the wall, and so all of a sudden Oiso's got 3 lands in play. 2 Spectral Forces have been in his hand since the opening draw. And now Herberholz has got, 7 lands and a bunch of storage counters?
7 lands and about, 18 mana available to him.
Wow, I saw another card in Heezy's hand, which is very relevant to the Spectral Force conversation. Spectral Force pretty good in general against these blue-black decks. They pretty much have to just... Was that
Harmonize was just draining one.
Oh. Oiso wants to draw 3. Herberholz said, no, I would prefer to have a 5/5 flyer.
I would like to play Drownu Stompy.
So Spectral Force, normally pretty good against these blue-black control decks. One of the reasons Heezy wanted to splash white was to get access to Temporal Isolation. It's an awesome Spectral Force answer. Now you've got something other than Damnation you can do about it. Okay, there's the Spectral Force. And Herberholz is going to... Oiso just scoops him up. Herberholz shows him the teachings. Oiso knows he's got Temporal Isolation, knows he can go get counters. And, on to game 2. Wow, just a blowout.
Yeah, I feel like unless Oiso has a very fast LD series against Herberholz, he's just not going to be able to... he might be able to steal a game or two, but I think that this is overwhelmingly...
in Mark's favor?
In Mark's favor. I think Mark has the best deck in the tournament.
Wow. I mean, Oiso has been beating these blue-black control decks consistently. Wouldn't be sitting in the top 8. There were, the top half of the field coming out of day 1 was basically half red-green decks, half red or red-green decks, and then the other half was these blue-black control. That's basically the field at the top by the time he got into day 2. So Oiso's clearly able to win in that field.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean,
I think the problem is that Heezy's deck, with that white splash, I think it's just perfect against Oiso. Oiso was the guy that Heezy was making his deck good against. In comes access to Temporal Isolation. In comes to Fairies mode. That white splash just sets Herberholz up that, I'm with you. I think Oiso's got to get the land destruction package fast out of the gates or he's cold.
Also, Herberholz's deck, a lot of the blue-black decks feel like Teferi decks.
Sure.
Where you see people have multiple turns.
A lot of people call the deck Teferi control.
Right, and Herberholz is playing a Mystical Teachings deck.
Fair. One copy of Teferi, that's it.
He's playing a deck that's very much about Mystical Teachings. It's very much about the cards he can search up with Mystical Teachings. It really reminds me of the Gift decks.
And he's got a lot more one-ofs now that you mention it. A lot of these control decks, they'll be like 3 or 4 Teferis, or they'll have like the Shapeshifter Brine Elemental package taking up half a dozen spots. And he's like, I only want 1 Teferi.
He has 1 Teferi, he has 1 Haunting Him.
And he's just got like the package of one-ofs, right? Yep. A Disenchant, an Extirpate, a Pull from Eternity, a Temporal Isolation, a Haunting Him, a Teferi. He's got...
He only has 1 Teferi's moat, which he can't search up, but he does have 3 Careful Considerations, which he can search up with the Mystical Teachings.
And he can search up a Draining Welk. I mean, he's just very much... I totally agree with you. He's playing a Mystical Teachings deck. That's clearly what this is. He's got the 4 rats. He's got the base package of creature control with the 4 rats. He's got 4 cancels and a nice permission suite. But pretty much, the engine that makes the deck work is the Mystical Teachings.
And it was very interesting watching Mark play in mirror matches this weekend. And one of the reasons he said he only played 1 Teferi is he didn't want to get into these situations where you're just fighting over your Teferis all the time, or you have a Teferi in play and then you have this sort of dead, redundant Teferi in hand. He felt that he would just rather fight about the good cards and rather have good cards in his hands. And there's times where Teferi's relevant, but he'd really rather not worry about having to fight over it.
Sure. It's funny, you'd say he's playing basically a Gifts deck. His first constructed top 8 was with a Gifts deck.
Right.
Back, it was Pro Tour Philadelphia. I still remember the match between him and Kai.
Oh my gosh.
He literally played circles around Kai Buda.
Right, that was the one where you're like, wait,
I thought this was the goofy party guy.
Yeah, exactly. This is the first time you realize that Mark Herberholz is hiding his light under a bush.
It's true. Yeah, he absolutely played circles around Kai. Knew exactly what his deck was capable of. Had fine-tuned the 1-ofs and the 2-ofs in his deck.
And honestly,
he knew he was going to be in situations like this.
Outplayed Kai.
Yes. No question about it.
Outplayed Kai in that match. It was great. Yeah, Mike still talks about that all the time.
Yeah, that was a great match of Magic. And yeah, Heezy went on. It was his second top 8 at the time, his first constructed, and now since then he's won Honolulu and certainly seems poised to make a run here. We'll see what Oiso can do in these sideboard games. These are best 3 out of 5 matchups, of course.
Yeah, the sideboard games are actually the most important. We talk about this all the time. They're actually the most important matchups of the weekend. So we're trying. I think we're going to try to get a sideboarding report. See maybe what these guys did, if at all possible. So, how would you sideboard here, Randy?
If I'm Oiso, I want the 2 Avalanche Riders.
Right. You want to go up to 8 LD spells.
Yeah, I clearly want to max out the LD package. I guess I bring in Detritivore. Like, if it's there.
Well, the Detritivore could be a huge card. He actually could go up to, 12 LD spells.
Yeah, I think he's got to go the LD package. So, yeah, absolutely. I bring in Detritivore. Garganon is the interesting one. I'm not sure I Garganon.
No,
it seems like you're going to go all in, and he's got Temporal Isolation. He's got Pull from Eternity. He's just got a bunch of stuff that.
I think he probably just takes out the 4 Dead Guns and brings in those 4.
4 land destruction.
4 land destruction.
Plausible. Yep, I think that's my plan if I'm Oiso. I still want the Disintegrates.
Yeah.
You got to be able to burn over the top at the end. Now, what does Heezy do? Does he go for the full-out, bring in the other 2 Tendrils?
I think he's going to bring in the other 2 Tendrils. I think he's going to bring in the he's going to bring in the other Moat.
Clearly brings in the Moat. What comes out? Chronicler?
Yeah, maybe the Aeon Chronicler. I think if he's going to be fighting over keeping his lands in play, yeah. I don't think he's going to have enough mana to really suspend an Aeon Chronicler, or he's going to be able to tap out to suspend it. That's really a control card.
Sure.
He might. Might even. I could even see him bringing in an extra land like the Mountain, just to have more mana.
Sure. Yeah, I would absolutely bring that Mountain in. Yeah, it's funny. We say Mountain. Yeah, he does indeed have a 4th color on the sideboard. He's got 1 Mountain and for a couple of Detritivores of his own.
Right.
Doesn't want the Detritivores here.
Matchup, yeah.
But I mean, that's good. That's a nice package in the control matchup. And again, he's got a little package ready for everybody. You start to see the subtlety behind this deck design.
Right. But
here he's just like, I'm playing against land destruction, just bringing in another land.
He knows he's fighting against 8 to 10 land destruction spells this game. So.
Yeah, and I think maybe 12. Oh, Oiso's looking at his opening draw.
I love watching.
Clearly not happy with it.
I love watching Oiso mulligan. I don't know if you can tell if he's clearly not happy about it. He's one of the most deliberate mulliganers I've ever seen.
Looks like a couple of mountains, no green mana, 2 Prismatic Lens. Yeah, Call of the Herd, Acid Moss, Disintegrate. So 2 mountains, 2 Prismatic Lens, no forest.
Yeah, not a completely terrible hand.
Oh, decides to keep. Heezy keeps his own. Mountain from Oiso. Expanse from Heezy. There's the turn 2 Prismatic Lens.
Mark just isn't not cracking his turn.
Not cracking the Expanse. Yeah, that is a tell. He wants to draw land, does not want to thin his library at all. And Oiso drew the forest he needed so that he could play a Lens and a Call of the Herd on turn 3.
No, Mark didn't play he just sacked the Expanses because he wanted to have, if Oiso got to the quick land destruction
beats the land
spell,
destruction plan.
Right, he beats the turn 3 land destruction plan. And now he can untap with cancel mana up and doesn't have to worry about losing a land.
Oh, you're absolutely right. That's really smart. Yeah, if Oiso had gone to play a land destruction spell, Mark's lands all sacrificed to replace themselves. So.
Right. And there's the mountain.
And the mountain.
It in.
Absolutely right.
So the land destruction was obviously very much on Mark's mind.
Here comes the elephant for 3 damage. Oiso going to flash it back here. Second forest. Yep.
So we got to cancel on the flashback call of the herd. I gotta tell you, I was watching Mark play all weekend, and he just doesn't care about taking damage. He plays as long as he's got 1 point of life. He feels pretty comfortable with this match.
Do have one result from a back table. Kazuya Minamura, the Japanese player, has taken a 1-0 lead against Sebastian Thaler. Couple of copies of Shadow Mage Infiltrator were too much for Thaler's red-green deck. So Ass and Moss ran into, is it cancel?
Cancel, and we also canceled the call of the herd token.
Sure.
Turn before that.
Now here's main phase, careful consideration.
He had considered doing that last turn and then decided to lay back on the cancel instead.
Oiso's hand is down to a Disintegrate.
And a Hellkite.
Oh, and a Hellkite. That's better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's pretty close to Hellkite mana. He's there as Hellkite mana next turn if he wants it.
Yeah, he just needs one more mana source.
He's got Wall of Roots in his hand. So he takes 3 more down to 11. Disintegrate for 6. That makes sense. Oiso takes the opportunity to sneak in 6 damage. Mark down to 5.
And he needs Urborg Tendrils right here.
2. Yes.
2 cards left in Oiso's hand. One of them's a Wall of Roots. The other one is a giant dragon.
Well, Bogart and Hellkite seems to be the official mascot of Pro Tour Yokohama.
I haven't got to look at Heezy's hands as that careful consideration. I'm pretty sure he's got access to a Damnation, but that's not really what he wants here.
Oh, and there's the Urborg.
Okay, does he have the Tendrils?
It's got Herberholz, always with 5.
Ships the turn.
He does.
Does have the Tendrils. Wow. Huge.
Goes to 11.
6 life, and the elephant goes down.
That breath of cold air is nice.
Suddenly he's up at 11. Here comes Spectral Force. Damnation. Down goes Spectral Force. So Heezy's on 11. Oiso's got 8 mana now. He's got to run out Dragon, right? What else is he going to do?
Well, he has the window here. There's no reason not to.
Oh, you know what? He's thinking to make sure make Heezy believe the other card is relevant. That's probably what's going on there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
When it's easy to think he's got 2 relevant cards. Turns out he's all in on Dragon right now. That's it.
So pretty interesting.
But Heezy's got Damnation. Dangerously low at 6. I mean, Heezy loses to a Disintegrate, potentially.
Kind of interesting that Mark Herberholz left the Pull from Eternity in his deck.
He's worried about Gargadon, right?
Worried about Gargadon, worried about Dextravor. I think more for Dextravor than anything else.
Interesting. I mean, he can teachings it up. Having 1 makes a lot of sense, right? Okay, there's Damnation. That'll get rid of the Dragon. Oiso really needs to draw another threat here.
And there it is.
Urza, is that Urza's Factory?
That is Urza's Factory. It's one of the really interesting things about both Oiso and Thaler's deck, by not playing Stormbind, are able to continue to play out lands and develop this long game plan against the control decks.
Wow, that's really
with Urza's
threatening.
Factory.
All right, token goes in. Looks like Mark Herberholz does, in fact, have a Teferi. His 1 Teferi. Probably going to come out here and block.
Yep.
Yep, there's Teferi.
He's going to mug a bob or a rat.
Picks off a token. But long term, I'm sure that oh, there's Call of the Herd from Oiso. Able to make a pair of elephants here.
But now this is where Herb Holtz's deck gets dangerous. He does have a Mystical Teachings in hand.
Okay.
Suspend. Yes.
Is that Chronicler?
It is a Chronicler. I'm curious to...
I'm surprised he kept the Chronicler in.
Drop.
How many did he suspend it for?
He didn't. He flashed it out as a giant.
Oh.
Flashed it out as a 5/5 or a 6/6 there.
No, I think he drew 2 cards that turn. Pretty sure he must have suspended it. So Oiso came out, managed to get in with some elephants and a big disintegrate. Yeah, it was suspended for 1.
Okay.
Oiso got Heezy down to 5 with a dragon in his hand, but Tendril sent Mark back up to 11. Dragon brought him back down to 6. Oiso's just hoping he can punch through. Oiso's got Urza's Factory to potentially make enough tokens to swarm around.
Mark also
He's got a couple disintegrates left in his deck.
Mark also has an Urza's Factory at this point.
Okay, so he can cancel out. They can both make tokens.
But, I mean, I think Oiso's pretty happy if Mark is
spending all his mana making tokens.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree.
He can sneak a Hellkite in through that. He can, if he can force him to do it main phase, he can, disintegrate for the win.
You can't flash out Can you flash out a Hellkite with the Teferi in play?
Oh no, you can't. You're right.
I don't think so.
Teferi's so nice.
Mark described Teferi as an insurance policy.
Yes.
We do have a couple more matchups on the back tables, by the way. Tomohiro Saito has taken the lead over Hall of Famer Raphael Levy.
Sounds like Timbermare.
Timbermare for the win. Yeah, Timbermare got the job done. So Saito up 1-0. We've also got Mitamura up 1-0. And I believe Wafotapa and Carvalho are still in the first game. No? Wafotapa has just taken the lead there. So Guillaume Wafotapa wins the first game. Everybody either shuffling or into game 2. Mystical Teachings. That's the engine that makes Heezy's deck run. Is that he brought in Detritivore?
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
He did bring in
And because of Teferi, every creature's an instant, of course. He can Teachings up Detritivore, get himself Urza's Factory advantage. I'm surprised he brought that in.
Well, you know what? These guys stay up. Either they stay up themselves or they have their friends stay up and do the play testing for them.
Right.
Great players who figure out what those post-game decisions are going to be.
Yeah.
Those post-game 1 decisions.
There was an Urza's Factory scenario, but Heezy saw this coming. Brought in the answer. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of the defining characteristics of Oiso's deck, in terms of being able to beat a control deck, is that Urza's Factory. So, that's great. And then looks like we just get an answer from Oiso for the Urza's Factory on the other side.
There's the Avalanche Riders. But Oiso's, you look across the board and see all that untapped blue mana.
Yeah, the window to win this game may have closed. Although I said that a couple times about Oiso during the Swiss, and he just put together the exact sequence of plays he needed to get himself here. So. Yeah, at this point in the game, it feels like Mark Herberholtz's hand is just so much bigger. He has access to his entire deck.
Well, Oiso does go for the Avalanche Riders.
2.
2 cards left. He's trying to imagine what else might be coming. And cancels the riders. So Oiso's supposed to attack and try to get in for, I mean, in theory, 4? I mean, I guess he's got enough storage counters to make a guy? Not sure.
I see one die, I'm not sure.
I mean, I think Oiso has the opportunity here to trade both his elephants for 4 damage and get Mark all the way down to 2.
But depending on how many counters are on that storage line, it could just be get in for 2.
No.
Although Mark would be pretty reluctant to tap out at this point, so he might be.
Oh yeah, he would open up a disintegrate loss. So Mark Herberholz has an Aeon Chronicler and a Teferi in play. He's also got an Urza's Factory amongst all those lands. Masashi Oiso does send everybody into the red zone. 2 elephants and 2 factory tokens. Block. Herberholz is actually going to take 5 and go down to 1 point of life. Wow. Only had 3 cards in hand, so he couldn't afford to put Chronicler in front of an elephant. Now, what is that?
Search for tomorrow.
Search for tomorrow. Oiso thinning his deck, hoping to draw threats.
Thinning his deck, but one of the drawbacks of the heavy mana deck is in the late game you tend to
Sure. You run out of threats.
Not only draw lands, but you just draw cards that get you lands, and can be a little frustrating once you get to that long game. That's why I love that Urza's Factory so much. Even when he's drawing nothing, he's got something to do.
Yeah, there's the Tridivore. Comes out and picks off Urza's Factory. So Oiso is out of Urza's Factory action. He's down to 1 elephant and a 1/2/2. Herberholz now has control of the board. Between the Tridivore, Teferi, and Aeon Chronicler, hard to see Oiso getting through on the ground. He basically needs a Disintegrate or Bogren and Hellkite to resolve.
Has Mystical Teachings to flashback.
Yeah, with Mystical Teachings in Heezy's graveyard, Oiso's going to have to draw a couple threats in a row to try to bust through that permission wall. He's got Herberholz down to 1. I mean, Herberholz, consummate control player. He's like, only the last point of life matters.
That's exactly it.
It's like, sure, I'll take 5. I want 6. No problem. What's wrong with taking 5?
He's been playing this game the whole weekend. I saw him play a game against Dane Young, top 16 finish for Dane.
Is that a cancel?
Yeah, he got a cancel. He just let Dane stormbind him.
Okay.
To really just until
Dane
was, was just out
stormbind you, threw his whole hand away. Herberholz got down to like 4 or 5 life.
Got down, 4 or 5 life.
All right, now I'll disenchant.
Now I'll extirpate your stormbinds. I'll disenchant the one in play. So Tendrils of Corruption. He just gained 10 life.
Oh, I think we're done.
Yep.
Mark Herberholz starting to attack. Aeon Chronicler to Tridivore to Teferi head into the red zone. That second Tendrils got Heezy up to a nice safe 11 life. He's out of Disintegrate range. He's out of Hellkite range.
Even if Oiso had the Forest draw this game with for the Acid Moss, I don't think he could have won this game. The way Heezy played it from those first 2 turns.
Terramorphic Expanse took away the turn 3 land destruction play from Oiso. Didn't have it anyway. What is that?
Haunting Him.
Clears Oiso's hand. And Oiso scoops him up. Wow. Mark Herberholz takes a 2-0 lead. Just textbook. This is exactly the way Herberholz wanted these matches to go. He built the deck to win this matchup. He knows every card, why it's there. Congratulations, Mark Herberholz.
Did we ever get word on how Mark sideboarded?
No, I'm not sure that we did.
Hopefully we can get floor reporter Rich Hagon to give us an update on that.
Does Oiso have a play here? He's got to pull off the land destruction draw 3 in a row.
He needs to get the land destruction. Yeah, and the land destruction gets much worse once he wins a game.
Because then he's going second.
He's going second. It's just not as exciting. He makes the turn 3 land destruction, and Mark has 3 lands, and he can cancel.
All right, well, while these guys shuffle up for Game 3, we're going to try to check out one of the other matches going on in this top 8. Let's go see how Tomohiro Saito and Hall of Famer Raphael Levy are doing.
Let's go visit the hall.
Saito is up a game. Levy has just been on fire in Constructed lately.
He felt super. He said if he could have picked any match in this top 8 to play, his quarterfinal match is the match he would pick.
He thinks Saito's his best matchup?
Yeah, he said he would have, if he could handpick his matchup.
Wow.
This is the match he would pick.
So we've seen Oisos take on red-green in those first couple games. Now we get to see how Saito and Levy approach the sort of base red, sort of aggro, I destroy white weeding and have game against control builds. Levy went completely mono red. Saito has just a touch of green, enough for Timbermare and not a lot else.
Timbermare and Stormbind, theoretically...
Assault battery.
Theoretically, he could make another elephant with Assault battery.
So you see nothing but mountains in play so far. Saito's got 4 mountains. Levy's got 5 mountains and a Magus of the Scroll.
Interesting sideboard card that we see in a couple of decks, also from the green decks. Saito has Utopia Vow in his sideboard as another green card. He had wanted a green pacifism, which was an answer for him. Is an answer for him to to Saltari Priest.
Wildfire Emissary still in after sideboarding?
I guess. I mean, it's bigger than the burn, right?
I guess so.
It's bigger than Fiery Temper. It's bigger than Riftbolt. You need to use a Disintegrate or 2 spells to kill it.
Interesting. What are the life totals so far?
Life totals?
Saito's at 12.
Levy's got a Magus of the Scroll going with a Disintegrate in hand.
Yep.
And a Storage Land.
And looks like it's time to burn face. Ooh, there's 2 Disintegrates in Levy's hand. Well, there were 2. That'll drop Saito to 6. That second Disintegrate is game over next turn, right?
It's funny. We talk a lot about tournament operations and how you play good Magic. And
Emissary comes in for 3.
He's
Levy's just like, I'm done. Chump, make sure. Yep, there's the Disintegrate. And Raphael Levy evens this at 1 game apiece. Bang, bang, 2 Disintegrates, and you're dead.
How much do you hate a white-bordered and black-bordered Disintegrate, though?
I can't believe it for the top 8.
Especially if you're playing with a Magus of the Scroll.
That's true. I mean, it's actually really bad with Magus of the Scroll to have white-bordered and black-bordered copies of the card. You want the same art, same language to make sure that you don't tip your hand to your opponent.
Yeah.
And you'd think, you got to the top 8. At this point, can't you go replace that ugly white-bordered Disintegrate?
Let's see if you couldn't loan him some black-bordered Disintegrates. Or
Crazy.
2 white-bordered ones.
Yeah, no, I think Raph said he showed up and, kind of Thursday here, he was playtesting. He sort of had a pretty good read on the field and, his playtest team, I think it was Julian Naughton had this particular version of the deck built. And Levy was like, that's the deck. That's the one I want to play. As soon as he saw it from his teammates, he sort of had this sense of the field and knew that was the deck that he wanted. But then, of course, he had to actually acquire 75 cards. So, there's always, the dealers love these constructed tournaments. Yeah. There's always, crazy cards like all of a sudden there's a run on Disintegrates. Right, the card was common in 1994, but how many copies of Disintegrate are floating around the dealer booth, right? So Levy wound up with white-bordered Disintegrates. That was what was available. Yeah. But you'd think somebody would have let him sync the pictures up.
Levy Nassif just wandered off. Maybe he's going to
go sneak into the feature match area, hand him a couple black-bordered Disintegrates. The whiteboarder's so ugly, too.
Well, maybe you want your opponent to know you're holding 2 Disintegrates. I mean, I guess at the point where you're naming Disintegrate and you have 2 cards in hand and you're hitting.
Yeah, but they wonder. I want the guy on tilt. I want him to think I'm getting lucky. Keep hitting the same 1 out of 2 shot.
So how happy are you to see the Punisher mechanic finally getting its day in the sun?
With Browbeat?
Yeah.
That's an Aaron Forsythe special. He was always a big Browbeat fan. Thought it was an interesting card. Thought it was a good card. Popular card.
And it's never really been good card, right? Like in terms of it's never really seen.
This is clearly the highlight, right? The moment in the sun, the format, the stars aligned, and suddenly browbeats in every red deck.
Right, and it just seemed like it was control on burn or control on beatdown so many games, and browbeat was either 5 life or 3 cards, and I mean it functioned exactly as it was drawn up in the locker room all those years ago by you guys.
That's right. That's right.
And everyone seemed kind of puzzled over why it's suddenly so good now. You know, it seems like there should have been other times where it was fine, or maybe it's just fit in the curve of the decks, I guess.
But what was the last format it was in? Was sort of an Astral Slidey format.
Right.
I think with Astral Slide, it's not about sort of efficiently getting 3 to 5 damage out of every card. It's more about setting up this inevitability.
Right.
I think that's just in that format.
And you need all your cards to sort of function within the theme of your deck.
Yeah.
Right. The decks right now seem a little less driven by mechanic.
That's right. I mean, you've got sort of classic archetype strategies: control, burn, big creatures.
Levy Side and Aaron the Relentless. We're gonna see Aaron.
Nope.
Wow, Kazuya Minamura has taken a 2-0 lead on Sebastian Thaler. Draining Welk for the win. Yeah, Draining Welk against Thaler's going to be big. Whatever Thaler's casting, it's usually large. So, 6/6 flyer got the job done. Sounds like it probably countered a Spectral Force or something.
The Aeon Chronicle plan doesn't sound very exciting, actually, staring down 6 mana. How many Draining Welks? 2 Draining Welks. Does he bring any more in now? Interesting. Yeah, I really that match seemed.
You liked Thaler's? I know we both like Thaler's deck. Angry Germit, is that what you're calling it?
Angry Germit, yeah. Thaler claimed he did not lose to blue-black at all in the Swiss. He won every round. It felt like that matchup was overwhelmingly in his favor. So.
Yeah, 3 of these 4 quarterfinals are basically blue-black versus red-green. Right, you've got Minamura.
Maybe I'm just rooting for all the red-green decks to advance.
I was going to say, because the control decks are up 5-0. Herbert Holtz is up 2-zip, Minamura is up 2-zip, Waffle Top is up 1-zip. That's 5-0 in favor of the control. The red-green deck's not looking so good right now. Which is surprising, because I'm with you, and over the course of the Swiss, it seemed fairly balanced. It seemed like the difference, the winner of the red-green versus control matchup was the better player.
Of course, we could be seeing why these decks are in the top 8 as opposed to the other blue-black control decks.
I think it's the good players, though.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. This was, we talked about the cream rising to the top.
But then again, we've got good players, and the red-green decks are in good hands, too. So Rafael Levy and Tamahiro Saito have split the first 2 games. This best 3 out of 5 has suddenly turned into best 2 out of 3. Meanwhile, Mark Herberholt has a 2-0 lead on Masashi Oiso.
He's just sort of out of the corner of my eye. It looks like he's under a Detritivore.
Yeah, we do have a shot
and
an Avalanche Rider. So Oiso's got the land destruction draw that he wanted in Game 3.
Yeah, I see an Acid Moss in his graveyard.
Yeah, Oiso's gone Detritivore, Acid Moss, and Darwin. Peasy's got just the 1 mountain that came in from the sideboard in play. Does have 2 prismatic lenses, though. Terramorphic expands for Herbert Holes. All right, well, Saito and Levy have drawn up their hands.
Cool.
Expanse from Saito. Here you get a good look at Saito's hand.
Is that a Gargadon from Levy?
Is it?
Suspended, yeah.
Oh, so it is.
Cool.
It's a card that Levy identified as being really crucial in this matchup.
Sure.
Just
In from the sideboard.
creating a tension that doesn't let.
And Herbert Holtz just managed to pull off a damnation out from under all that land destruction. Oiso makes a couple elephant tokens.
Yep. Go.
Levy gets in there with a Blood Knight. Dueling Blood Knights here between Levy and Saito.
How exciting is that Graven Karn's card?
The red-black dual land?
Red-black dual land. Lets you play...
Turn 1 Swamp, turn 2 Blood Knight?
Yeah.
Oh, Herberholt's just draining Welk to search for tomorrow.
Cool.
And he's got a 4/4 flyer ready to block those elephants.
Yep.
And it looks like Oiso's out of gas here.
Cards. 5 cards.
Raphael Levy studies his options. His hand's got another Blood Knight, got a Mountain, he's got a Gargadon suspended. Saito slaps himself in the face. Trying to make sure his head stays in this. Pretty crucial turns right here. Pretty crucial game, pretty crucial turns.
I tell you, I think if I was playing Saito in a crucial match, I would definitely play as slow as I was legally allowed to without getting the ire of the judges, because you can really get under. He is an impatient man.
Interesting.
Sort of like a baseball player stepping out of the box against the pitcher.
Right.
You can really throw Saito off his game. He gets really flustered. He really wants you to hurry up. I mean, I don't know if you want to make him angry or not, though. You can definitely make him angry.
Mark Herberholt's just mystical teachings up at Teferi.
Who needs more than one?
There's Levy's hand. Blood Knight, Fiery Temper, Disintegrate, Land. Trying to figure out how to play this. Oh, Masashi Oiso does have Urza's Factory going. I guess he's not out of this thing yet. Levy decides to add a second Blood Knight to his board.
On top. No.
Self-Elemental end of turn from Saito. Who brought in his Utopia Vows?
So it's not a Gargadon, right?
Yep. Don't look now. I think Kesey might be...
Mark Herberholt's just cast the Tendrils. He's got an Orberg in play. 8 more life. I don't know. I don't have the life totals, but that's got to be good for Mark Herberholtz.
It's actually,
that matchup is so lopsided. I thought that was going to be close.
It's actually 6. Two of those are 6 life. 2 of those are lenses.
Oh, sorry. Masashi Oiso is just... Herberholtz is showing him both sides of his hand. Just smack, smack.
Still has to deal with the factory long term, though.
He's got a 5/5 flyer in play. Oiso's down to a token.
2020.
He's got 10 life to play with. Levy jokes about the fact that this match is still 2020. They're pretty deep into this game. Between two rednecks. Just a bunch of first strikers staring each other down.
Well, it becomes much more of a control game at this point, right?
It's true. Red mirrors are often control-ish, card advantage, trading burn spells for creatures and trying to turn a profit. Still, 2020 is surprising.
Levy's storage lands favor him in this scenario.
So Oiso just pointed to Disintegrate at Heezy's Draining Welk. If Heezy hadn't had that Tendrils, Oiso went in for the kill there. Oiso watched Heezy teachings up at Teferi, so he attacked, trying to get Heezy to play the Teferi, thus committing his mana so that after the combat phase, Oiso could point a Disintegrate at his head. But Heezy did not, in fact, play the Teferi. Went for the Tendrils plan instead, gaining the life.
And Heezy just lets the Draining Welk die.
Yeah, now Oiso was forced to point Disintegrate at Draining Welk.
Well, he may have another Disintegrate that he's looking to aim at Heezy.
Oh, Saito sends a Blood Knight in. What have we here? Actual combat in the little weenie creature battle?
Cards. 5 cards. Side.
Suspended the Trinivore for Oiso.
What is Saito up to with his Blood Knight attack?
Maybe just looking to trade.
Mark Riverholtz had the pull from eternity for the Detritivore. Just has all the answers. Isn't it obvious that Levy blocks and trades here and get the Gargadon counter? Why is he thinking so much? What's he thinking about?
Maybe he's trying to figure out what Saito's up to.
Block. Yep. Damage. Yep.
Yeah, seems like Levy's up a Gargadon counter. That's a good trade.
They're just being careful.
Throw it to me.
Saito wants to browbeat.
Levy pays a quick 5 life.
Sure, absolutely.
Especially while his opponent's stuck on 3 lands, right?
Yeah.
4 cards now. Yep.
Meanwhile, Masashi Oiso managed to resolve a Harmonize.
Listen to these guys talk though in the red match. They're cards in hand. Yeah, you can easily be playing counter spells instead of Blood Knights.
Fiery Temper takes down a Blood Knight.
Okay. Yep.
It's interesting. Mark could have. Oh, there's a Hellkite.
Oiso goes for Bogan and Hellkite.
Mark's got a couple options here.
Wow, score another one for the control deck. Guillaume Wafotapa takes a 2-0 lead on Paulo Carvalho.
All right, we're going to need to take a bathroom break before the semis.
Carvalho had the turn 3 Acid Moss, turn 4 Spectral Force.
Temporal isolation
damnation
for the Bogart and Hellkite over here.
Oh, so does that stops the 5 damage too?
It does.
So wow, Herberholtz responded to the Hellkite, let it resolve, but put a temporal isolation on it, so that stops the 5-point comes into play effect and stops the dragon from dealing future damage too.
And being able to block should he
can't even block.
Should he decide to attack at some point in the future. And now teaching up the Detritivore to deal with that pesky Urza's Factory land.
Wow, this quarterfinals is just a blowout in favor of the teaching stacks. I mean, I know you had Heezy over Oiso, but were you expecting Minamura and Wafatapo to have such an easy time of it?
I had Wafotapa over Carvalho, but I have to admit I had Taller over Minamura just because he had the Chronicler package. I thought, and based on his own his experience with control decks throughout the day, he felt that matchup was overwhelmingly in his favor. But I also just really like that deck, so I may have been rooting for it.
So Levy attacked with Blood Knight. That opens up Saito to attack with Sulfur Elemental. Doesn't seem like a good trade for Levy. I'm a little surprised by it, I guess. Just wants to soften Saito up a little bit for Gargadon. Saito's still stuck on 3 lands. Assault takes out Levy's Blood Knight, presumably. Another counter off to Gargadon.
Cool.
Looks like 4 counters left on Gargadon.
Yep. Factory's off the table now for the Herberholtz Oiso matchup. Tons of land for Oiso, nothing to do with it now. Mystical teachings. So it sounded like it's going to be, I mean, not to get ahead of myself here in this matchup, but it sounds like it's going to be Herberholz and Wafotapa in the semifinals.
Yes, it does.
We have no idea who's going to advance from the Saito Levy bracket at this point.
Yep. So Levy's out of creatures, but he does have a Gargadon looming. Saito has a Sulfur Elemental. Well, that was quick. Kazuya Minamura pulls off the Brine Elemental Shapeshifter lock.
Oh, the Pickles package.
Pickles package takes game 3. Sebastian Thaler has been eliminated. Kazuya Minamura, congratulations. You are through to the semifinals of Pro Tour Yokohama.
And congratulations, Sebastian Thaler, finally breaking through into the top 8. You know, really no sophomore slump after the Rookie of the Year title last year.
True.
And expect to see a lot more from this guy in the future.
I agree.
Yeah, Thaler knows more than I do. He definitely expected to. He didn't think he had a good matchup there, apparently.
Interesting. So Minamura will take on the winner of this match between Rafael Levy and Tomohiro Saito.
Yeah. We'll have to find out at lunch why he thought that control matchup was different than the ones he was winning all day.
Sure. Levy doing some math. Gargadon will do that to you.
I would easily bet my house on Herberholz at this moment, by the way.
To win the match or the Pro Tour?
Yeah, maybe both.
I mean, the control decks are advancing, and he seems like he's got the most tricked out control deck. He's just got more options against more opponents than the other guys.
Draw.
Saito keeps serving with that Sulfur Elemental. And Fiery Temper takes it out. Saito finally has a 4th land. Now he can start playing out the Wildfire Emissaries that have been clogging up his hand for a while.
Yep. Touch.
Huh?
Touch.
Maybe. End of turn. Thinking.
Saito does seem a little impatient.
He's very impatient.
Is that why? Is Levy playing slow on purpose? Levy's taking a lot of time.
Levy just he plays he's what we refer to euphemistically as deliberate pace in the coverage.
Levy's hand includes a Disintegrate and another Fiery Temper. Saito looked like he had a Utopia Vow in his hand, so that Gargadon is not actually game over.
What did you think of the red version that Ben Rubin and Antonino DeRosa were playing that cited in Pandemonium?
My attack step. Beginning of my attack step.
So Antonino DeRosa do 18 with a Gargadon one game.
No. Combat. Can I drink combat? Can I take 2 mana and have this guy arrive and attack? I can do that, right?
Okay.
Yes,
2
you
mana.
can.
2 mana.
Yeah.
All right, Levy goes into his attack step, gets a couple of mana, brings out the Gargadon, attacks with it.
In combat phase.
Yes.
May I block?
Yes, you may block, Saito. Will you?
I will smack myself in the face first. Utopia Vow, Wildfire Emissary,
And Dead Gone.
Dead Gone. So 2 different options for dealing with the Gargadon available to Tomohiro Saito.
Can choose 0.
Yes.
Maybe.
Saito's trying to figure out what Ref's doing with the 2 red mana floating in his pool in his attack step.
I think Levy's just trying to confuse him.
He asked if he could take 0 charge, pay 1 to take 0 charge counters off of the
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
All right, so Saito decides to chump block with Wildfire Emissary.
And that's exactly what Levy does.
Mark Herberholtz, meanwhile, just a clinic in how to win with one of these teaching decks.
I feel like we're looking at the defining deck list for the format.
We might be.
You know,
There's another Tendrils to take out a Spectral Force. I love the way he's still got the one. There's the handshake. Masashi Oiso has been eliminated. Mark Herberholtz wins 3-0. Sweeps Masashi out of this tournament, advances through to the semifinals.
And it looked like Oiso had his ideal draw that game, too.
Yeah, I don't know how Oiso could draw it up better, and Herberholtz still managed to win. Herberholtz even got like the one haunting him. You know, when he gets control, he can clear your hand and make sure that he knows exactly what's going on. Just feels like he's got his entire deck at his fingertips whenever he wants it and understands what every card is in there for. Just a clinic from Mark Herberholtz.
Yeah, playing great Magic.
Raphael Levy now tapping Greater Gargadon for mana. Tomohiro Saito put a Utopia Vow on it. Oh, here comes Avalanche Riders. I'll take out Saito's lone green source.
And possibly more importantly, his 4th mana source.
Yeah. Sulfur Elemental Wildfire Emissary in Saito's hand.
Good.
And the dead gone.
Yeah.
So, Avalanche Rider dead. Saito draws a 4th mountain. Now here comes Wildfire Emissary again.
Token. Yep.
What else has Levy got going on? Does he still have a Disintegrate in his hand?
I don't think he's used it.
Yeah,
One
looks
card?
like he may be
Yeah.
forced. It's the one way for him to kill an Emissary with 1 card.
I don't see
Yeah.
any white borders.
Disintegrate, Sudden Shock, Fiery Temper.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, Levy here, doesn't he just have to kill everything he can? Try to maintain parity, put as many counters as he can on his storage lands, and then just
Make a huge
just
Disintegrate
find
later.
his next Disintegrate.
Saito does not have Disintegrate, right?
No, he does not. He has Stormbind instead.
Sure. Is that why he's... That's kind of rough, because I think you're right. He could eventually win with a huge Disintegrate, but, I mean, he can't just let Wildfire Emissary beat him up.
Right. And he's got 3 more in his deck, right?
Yeah, I think you Disintegrate the Emissary.
And I don't think you want to use 2 cards here. Which he could. He has a Sudden Shock and a Fiery Temper. He could,
Right.
You know, there's still a lot of other guys he's going to need to kill if he's not... That's a decision he's trying to make here. Does he burn 2 spells or?
And he's up a little bit of impatience from Saito. The hidden benefit of thinking about any decision. Oh, score 1 for the red-green decks. Paulo Carvalho has taken game 3, breaks the 8-0 winning streak from the Teachings decks versus red-green. Still trails Guillermo Morfotapo 2-1, but Acid Moss into Spectral Force got the job done.
I want to stack. I want to take stack.
Interesting. Levy shift to turn. Saito wants to attack.
Gets in for 3.
Well, if Levy decided to burn 2 cards on it, now's when he does it, right?
Go.
And that's exactly what Levy does. Levy holding on to that Disintegrate. He's looking at Saito's 18. He's like, I can do it all in one card.
One card?
Yes. There's the Sulfur Elemental.
He only has 9 mana to go.
Yeah, but Sulfur Elemental gets in there. Now here's a Mog War Marshal. It's pretty good against Levy. He has to deal with each of those guys separately. Wonder if did Saito take out his Stormbinds? We haven't seen one.
And if we can get a report on that from the floor. Yes, Rich Hagen, I am talking to you. We're curious if
Saito has his Stormbinds or not.
Yeah. Theoretically, I'm supposed to push a button and do that off mic, but, you know. I figure I talk to people sitting in the chairs. I could talk to Rich.
Levy's decision to use 2 cards on that emissary not looking real good right now.
I don't really like that decision.
Yeah, indeed. Saito did take out all 4 Stormbinds who are sitting in the sideboard. Saito knew this was a card advantage match. All right, uses Disintegrate on the Sulfur Elemental. That's really depressing.
So now that just
yeah, he could have used those 3 cards to kill 3 creatures, and instead he only took down 2. Yeah, I thought it was a little early to be trying to build up for the 1 big Disintegrate. I'm with you. I think that was a mistake.
And now he's on that plan, but has 1 less answer to.
And he's getting hit by Mog War Marshal. Levy's down to 7.
Yeah.
It's funny, Levy loved this matchup because he's like, my opponent's going to sit on this Stormbind and be in all trouble because he wants to use it and he can't use it. And Saito just took the Stormbinds out. It's like, I want Wildfire Emissaries. This guy's got 4 toughness. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean that's why these guys play test. Again, we talk about it. They play test this matchup all night. They find out what the sideboard options are.
Levy's supposed to be playing his own Wildfire Emissaries because I think Levy's are probably on the board. And Saito had all 4 emissaries in the sideboard
and
brought them in. Levy had them split 2 and 2 and probably pulled them out. Yeah, in favor of the Garganons and the Vorticeers. We also saw Avalanche Rider. Yeah, so Levy has sideboarded them out, and Saito has sideboarded them in.
And it's funny because he complained about the Mog War Marshal being really difficult for him.
Yeah.
Seems like a fine control card.
Mog War Marshal, yeah.
For this control on control matchup. Well, I'm saying the emissaries.
Yeah, I totally agree. Is Levy supposed to have his in?
I think so.
Yep.
What would he take out? Probably already.
How about the Kelvin Marauders?
Are they in his deck? If they're in his deck, I agree with you.
I wonder if he brought in Serrated Arrows also.
Yeah, I was just looking. Like, a lot of Levy's sideboard looks good. He wants to be the big deck. He wants to be Greater Gargadon, Serrated Arrows, Word of Seizing. Maybe Word of Seizing, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe he didn't bring in the word.
Untap. Draw.
Fight.
Levy down to 5.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 13.
Well, he used his Disintegrate.
No, I'm just saying if he drew another one, I was just wondering how much he could do.
Suspend. Go.
Saito suspends a Rift Bolt. Levy keeps charging up. Draws a Sudden Shock.
Yeah, if he does it the other way, if he disintegrates the Wildfire Emissary,
3 damage.
He can Fiery Temper.
Draw.
He can Fiery Temper.
Yeah,
the
you can have Saito
sulfur
out of
elemental.
creatures.
And I mean, you don't want to use a sudden shock on a Mark War Marshal token, but
Sometimes
look
you do
at
what
how
you
many more
gotta do.
turns that gives him.
Yeah.
Oh,
Turn 3 Spectral Force for Carvalho on the back table. Levy laughs.
Bet you just drew the Disintegrate.
No, drew Rift Bolt. Which doesn't even help. Levy scoops him up. Wow. Tomohiro Saito wins. Rafael Levy wanted this matchup. He thought this, of all the matchups in the top 8, Levy said, this is the one I want. That guy's gonna have Stormbind. It's gonna mess up all sideboard plans. My Gargadons are gonna be amazing. His Stormbinds are gonna be a problem. Tomohiro Saito said, Stormbind? What Stormbind? So the story of the red-green decks in this tournament is Stormbind not actually good in all these matchups.
Right. Well, I mean, again, there's cards that you're dependent on, and you can't play them out whenever they're very situational, and you want to hold on to them. I saw a really interesting play very early in the tournament where Frank Karsten was playing against someone playing Stormbind, and the Stormbind player just wouldn't use his Stormbind. He wouldn't use it, and Karsten thought for a minute, and he's like, he's got 7 mana, he's not using Stormbind.
He must have a Hellkite?
He must have a Hellkite, and voided for 8.
Wow.
And hit 3 Hellkites in the red-green player's hand.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And that's been the problem with a lot of players with Stormbind.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a great read.
Through the microbial attack, Frank Karsten. Yeah. He was actually, it's funny, I almost think he was playing faster because he was sick. It's like his brain was so foggy that he couldn't think about all the stuff he normally thinks about. So he was just kind of playing a little more straightforward and just making the obvious plays rather than looking for the super subtle ones.
It's funny. Pierre Canali, who went 7-1 on day 1, I think arrived in Japan 5 minutes before the tournament.
Okay.
He was jet lagged. He was exhausted.
Sure.
And kind of made that, comparison. He said, it's funny, I was in...
It's entirely possible to outthink yourself.
He's like, when I was in Columbus, I had the same thing happen. I was exhausted. I didn't get any sleep for 2 nights. I had Bastien Perez or Julian Garone wake me up at 3 in the morning before the finals.
Wow.
He said, but, he played kind of without a lot of second thought.
Right.
So I think that can certainly happen.
Now, what was Levy supposed to do here? Looks like he's revisiting his sideboard.
Maybe revisiting those emissaries?
Sure, they sure looked good for Saito that game. Saito looking at Timbermare, Sulfur Elemental.
So Paulo Carvalho and Guillaume Wafatapa are tied 2-2 in Game 5 on the back table.
No. It's still Game 4. Carvalho did have a turn 3 Spectral Force.
Oh, okay.
But they're still in Game 4. Hey, Rich, has... Oh, Wafatapa did answer it. Temporal Isolation, shut it down. Carvalho made a second Spectral Force, but Damnation took care of that one.
I know we heard a couple stories this weekend about people making turn 3, turn 4 Spectral Forces and just not being enough.
People in the forums are starting to speculate whether Magic Online Premier events are in fact worthless for gauging what's good.
I don't think they're worthless at all. I mean, I think that event,
totally shaped this format.
Totally shaped the format.
But the right thing to do was to look at that Magic Online Premier event, figure out the expected reaction, and then react to that.
Right.
That was the right strategy, was to show up with the anti-White Weenie deck.
The red decks that have done well largely on the back of beating the White Weenie decks.
Yeah. I mean, the ones that got to the top 8 could beat the White Weenie decks and hang in a field full of control and red or red-green.
We talked about that you can't see the moon, but you still feel the tide. I mean, everybody has Wildfire Emissary. Everybody would probably have Sulfur Elemental anyway, but playing decks that can support turn 2 Blood Knight.
Yeah.
Is very, very much the impact of that. The result of that event.
Play.
Okay.
All right, looks like we are ready for game 4. Tomohiro Saito leads 2-1. That's 3 out of 5, so Saito's just got to win one of the next 2, and he can join fellow countryman Kazuya Mitamura in the semifinals. The other side of the bracket has Mark Herber holds through, and has Guillaume Wafo-Tapa up 2-1 versus Paulo Carvalho.
Yep.
Levy leads with a turn 1 Magus of the Scroll.
The prototypical red deck wins card.
Gets in there for a couple of turns, gets some late game.
Yep.
And Levy suspends Gargadon on turn 2 and does not play a second land. Does not play a second. Oh, there's the second land. All right.
And I see the Wildfire Emissaries
And Serrated Arrows.
are back in the deck. Or in the deck.
Yeah. Yeah, they were in the sideboard for game 3. We had Rich look it up. Saito fetches out a mountain with his Terramorphic Expanse.
Full cards.
Yes.
Draw.
Anything interesting going on in the forums, Randy?
Hey, I'm looking. I'm a little bit behind. It's been such an exciting quarterfinal. I haven't been reading, so we're still at the who's going to win.
Wow.
They had the same final you did, Easy versus Levy.
Go. Yep.
I'm not sure I like Levy's chances of getting out of the quarters, though. Blood Knight from Tomohiro Saito will stop the Magus of the Scroll Beats.
He's got a Rift Bolt. He can clear the Blood Knight. Yeah, that's what you talked about. You try to find a balance between your removal spells and how much damage you're going to deal. But if you
have to kill the Blood Knight.
Clear the Blood Knight here, right, with the Rift Bolt.
I mean, unless he's going to plan to just block it later with Wildfire Emissary. I think I would clear it.
He doesn't have the 4th land.
Right. I would just.
He also has Serrated Arrows.
Lefty contemplates his options while Saito just looks over.
Yeah. Oh, now he chooses to disintegrate the Blood Knight as opposed to Rift Bolt it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Really?
I guess the Rift Bolt is just more
efficient later?
More efficient later in that he can do 2 spells in 1 turn. He can suspend it and do something else.
That's interesting.
Go ahead. Cuts.
It's funny because this hand I felt like if he draws another land, Levy's able to. Looks like he should be able to stall this game out a little more.
Maybe Levy's also thinking that last game he played for the Disintegrate to have a lot of value in the late game, but here he's got a Gargadon. I think he imagines he may just be sacking all his lands to bring out a Gargadon in a couple of turns.
I mean, if he hasn't figured out the Stormrun's gun, I think he might want to take the Gargadons out. And again with the Dead Gons.
Really?
Maybe.
Well, there's that Mog War Marshal. 2/1/1s, surprisingly good in this match.
There's a Dead Gon for the Magus.
Yep.
question from King Charles asking how different it feels to have 5 big events a year instead of 6.
I feel a little more well rested.
It still seems like there's enough events that, it's not like your year is on the line in any one of them, but it does make them all a little more special.
It makes them a little more special, but interestingly, it's also made Grand Prix seem more special.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true.
And you look at the, big name players chasing after the Grand Prix circuit around the world, and the caliber of play at the Grand Prix at the top 8 tables.
Yeah.
Which
is kind of cool too, right? I mean, Grand Prix comes to town, you show up, and there's all these guys you've seen playing.
Yeah, you see this.
Another Mark War Marshal.
See the swarm of people around Kenji Samura in Fitchburg, Massachusetts, watching, arguably the best player in the world play the game.
Yeah.
That's definitely a side effect of having one fewer Pro Tour.
Well, Paulo Carvalho has evened up that match on the back table.
He's doing it for the kids.
2 games apiece, Carvalho versus Guillaume Wafatapa.
Attacking with the fatties.
Yeah, Carvalho's red-green. This is the little kid version. This is Lotus Bloom into red achroma. Just
the Scrib Ranger, which we haven't seen a lot of in the other
Spectral Force.
Haven't seen it in the other red-green belts.
Yeah, he got paired against multiple mono blue decks over the course of the weekend too. I watched him beat both Tsuyoshi Fushida and Masahiko Morita.
Yeah.
Scrib Ranger and red achroma, also pro blue.
Yeah, Vegeta's deck had no answer to that card whatsoever.
Well, it had Serrated Arrows and Desert, which it could almost answer.
It could Desert 4 times, and
I saw him actually. He was in position. Achroma stopped attacking because it was going to die to Desert. It had 3 Serrated Arrow counters, and there were 3 Deserts in play, and it was going to die. And so, unfortunately for Fujita, Carvalho just built up till he could Fire Breathe and win with one last shot because Desert is after combat damage.
Right, and he had a Fungal Reaches with a bunch of counters on it.
Yeah. Well, there's Serrated Arrows from Levy. Pretty good answer to the Mog War Marshals, right? Still not a complete answer. I mean, I guess. Oh, Serrated Arrows trades for 1 Mog War Marshal. That's crazy.
Echo stock? Echo.
Utopia Vow on the Wildfire Emissary.
Pretty good. Here comes 4 1/1s. All right, make it 3 1/1s.
Get a third of a card.
It's First Blood. Levy now at 17. Wow, sounds like Wafotapa lost for lack of an Orborg. Triple tendrils, but just the 1 swamp.
He was Urborg screwed.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. 2 cards?
Yes.
Yeah, Serrated Arrows looks really bad against the Mog War Marshals.
I mean, it's better than Sudden Shock, but... So Levy basically has Keldon Marauders, where Saito has Mog War Marshal?
Yeah, I believe so.
That was the decision. Which of those do you think is the better call? I mean, you don't get to say Mog War Marshal just because it's good right here, right now.
No, I really...
But this matchup is relevant, right?
I really like Mog War Marshal, actually. I mean, I guess we're trying to do a little more burn out of Levy's deck. But it seems really exciting with the Gargadons.
Yep. But Saito doesn't have the Gargadons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Ben Rubin Antonio DeRosa version did have Mog War Marshals with the Gargadon, all in the main deck.
Yeah, they also had the Keldon Marauders, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
Yeah, they did.
Their deck was good, but they also had Sequata Lancer. So
Fair.
Their deck was very unusual.
Yeah, there's a lot of cards you can play. It's not clear that And it'll take a while for the PTQ
and
PTQ season to really grind through to get the optimal deck list. Or maybe there is no optimal.
And there's
deck
a lot
list, right?
more after this weekend.
Yeah, with Future Sight, definitely.
So the PTQ season is going to be thrown completely into turmoil.
It's a pretty diverse format. And I mean, it's kind of neat that you have a lot of options, right? Where you can take an archetype and customize it based on your taste, based on your read on the metagame. There's a lot of options for customization. Also makes it sort of more diverse to play against. You don't see the same cards every time.
Another serrated arrows. You can now, two serrated arrows trades with 2 Mog War Marshals.
It's actually 8 mana for 8 mana too.
Perfectly costed cards.
Clearly. Saito's looking at a hand of 2
Split
assault
cards.
batteries, a dead gone, and then a sulfur elemental. And out comes the sulfur elemental.
Okay.
Yes.
Draw.
There's the Pendelhaven
Wow.
for the Mog War Marshal beatdown.
Sure.
That was great. I saw that be great for Saito all weekend. Just getting in with 2-3 Mog War Marshals.
Do you just assault here? Or wait, which one's the elephant? Battery?
Battery.
Did you battery here? Just put a 3/3 on the table? I might. Isn't 3/3 just gigantic? I mean, you're attacking with 1/1 successfully.
It's going to get in more than once, right?
Pendelhaven's nice too because Levy can't respond to it. I mean, he's going to get to save one of those guys from an arrow counter potentially. Just get in an extra couple damage rather than have it die.
Right.
And then it'll die, but
then it'll be replaced.
true.
Yeah, 3/3 token seems really just fine here.
Why would he leave back a guy? Levy chooses to take out the sulfur elemental. Yeah, that makes sense.
Why does he leave back the guy?
Does that go? He's worried about the Gargadon coming out.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, there is a greater Gargadon hanging out in Levy's suspend zone.
Battery.
Yep, there's the 3/3 elephant
Do you
token.
have? Do you have elephant? Can I use?
Sack, charge.
Yep.
Okay.
Used up serrated arrows. Does get a Gargadon counter.
Charge.
Ah, okay, it's mana. Yes. Thank you.
Two cards.
Oh, no.
Wait, 2 cards in hand.
Yep.
2 counters on the Gargadon.
So Saito has Dead Gone in his hand, so he can bounce the Gargadon at instant speed, but he knew he wanted to tap out for the elephant. So all the more reason to leave the Mog War Marshal behind.
Sure, absolutely. Levy's got a Rift Bolt, a Fiery Temper, and a Blood Knight. Guess he's trying to figure out if he has to kill that elephant token. Although he can also just play the Blood Knight and serrated arrows. The elephant.
Sure. We're holding Game 5 of the Carvalho-Wafakaka match, by the way. We will be bringing that to you as soon as this ends. Carvalho and Wafakaka are actually watching this match. Like, this is exciting. We got Game 5, but I mean, they're not going to let us play. We're going to watch. Front row seat. These two guys, a Hall of Famer and a potential future Hall of Famer someday.
Yep.
Saito's starting to build a case for himself. Got more top 8s than Levy does.
Yeah. It's his fourth. He doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime
exactly,
soon.
Yeah.
He actually seems to be picking up speed. He's been playing since I think 2000 or 2001.
Okay.
So he's really picked up momentum in his career the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, that's fair. So there's Blood Knight.
There's the Blood Knight. So Levy's decided that he'll try to block up the ground with serrated arrows.
First strike and an arrow token. We'll take down the elephant.
Go ahead.
And Levy shifts the turn. So now he's got a Blood Knight playing defense. And it's serrated arrows. We know that Saito has an assault battery and a dead gaunt in his hand. Seems like he should take out the Blood Knight and then swing. Does risk having a Gargadon show up. But then, yeah, I think you bolt Blood Knight, attack. Levy will bring out the Gargadon, which you can then bounce.
Right.
And now all of a sudden you're getting through for 5. That's got to be the play, right?
Absolutely. Although Levy's getting close to being able to just hard cast the Gargadon.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Getting there.
Are you counting the Wildfire Emissary among the mana sources?
I did. So I got to 7.
Got
Well,
8.
he'll have 8 by next turn because he'll have another charge counter.
No, he's got 8 right now. Oh, no, I'm sorry. You're right. It's 8. Silly talk.
It's got to be Burn Blood Knight, attack.
Yeah.
Bounce Gargadon.
Right. Get in for 2, 3, 4, 5.
6 with Pendelhaven, maybe.
Well, I'm counting the Pendelhaven. I'm assuming there's a serrated arrows.
Oh, sure. Yeah, 5.
Yeah. Gets Levy down to 9. Yep, here we go.
Search.
I think Levy's playing slow enough now. He's going to start drawing the ire of the judges. Saw a caution a minute ago. It's like, what is he thinking about here? It's obviously stacking it to Gargadon. There's nothing else that can...
Tuck.
Saito impatiently shoves his men into the red zone. There's, what, 1 counter on that Gargadon?
1 counter. Actually, he doesn't really want to give... Any permanent he gives up has to be either mana or maybe serrated arrows, which will still have a token on it.
That's a good point.
Keeps him further back from being able to replay the Gargadon.
I mean, he's got 2, though, right? He's not just going to take 5. Maybe he's just going to take 5. Yeah, I think you sack Emissary and bring out Gargadon.
Sure. Tap it to put a charge counter on your land.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, there's the Gargadon.
Play is okay.
Play is okay. Block, not so much.
Bounce.
One card in your hand.
Yep.
All right, there's Rift Bolt to take out the elephant.
Yeah.
Using the mana that was floated from the Emissary.
Stuck okay?
Wait.
Fiery Temper takes out the elephant. 2 War Marshals. Now we get to have the Serrated Arrows Pendelhaven dance. Yep, Levy points a token at the War Marshal. May as well get in for 2 while you can, right?
Wait.
There's a guy in the forums telling me to stop hating on white borders from that whole disintegrate conversation. But his name is Eager Cadet for the win. So I just can't respect him somehow.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
But it's not. I mean, really, for me, there's the issue of the whiteboard. It's not a matter of just hating blackboard or whiteboard. It's just you want 4 of the same card, same art,
right?
Same language.
Yep.
Resuspend a Gargadon.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yours?
Yeah. Remove.
Yeah. Here? No.
Okay. Suspend, unsuspend.
Remove.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all we need.
Okay.
Get no suspended.
Saito would like his removed from game to Blood Knight to be suspended.
Okay.
Do the board seem excited about Heezy's deck at all?
Yeah, they're very impressed by Heezy's play in particular. Clearly playing really tight.
Okay.
Saito serves again. That's 1-1. Just keep chipping away at Levy's life total.
Should Levy use the arrows again on his turn?
Oh, quite possibly. Oh, okay. Here's Self-Elemental.
Oh, okay.
Self-Elemental stands in front of
Chain
tokens.
that great.
Before stuck.
Pendelhaven threatens to trade with Self-Elemental, but what that really does is finish using up the arrows. And Saito gets in for 1.
Take 1. Yes.
Halfway done. Raphael Levy is down to 10. Saito's got a couple Wildfire Emissaries in his hand. And here comes 1.
Yep.
Arrows get sacrificed to the Gargadon.
Yep.
And into the tank.
Yeah.
Levy is trying to find some way out of this game. He has 2 cards, but he's not just thinking about those 2 cards, right? He's got to be thinking about what cards could be on top of his deck. What situation can he put himself into?
It's true. Feels like Levy's whole game is trying to get a Gargadon to stick. And there's enough answers in Saito's deck that it's not clear that actually is likely to happen between the Utopia Vows and the Dead Gons.
Right. It's
like Levy needs to get Gargadons out without sacrificing his lands, because eventually he's going to have to be hard casting them so that take Dead Gon out of play. But then Saito, how many Utopia Vows does he have?
He has
3 in the board.
3 Utopia Vows and 4 Dead Gons versus 3 Gargadons.
Oh, Levy decides to attack with Sulfur Elemental into Wildfire Emissary. That's interesting. You block, right? It's not like Levy's going to Giant Growth.
Sinking.
Saito stops the thing for the first time in the match, I think.
None of these red decks had Brute Force. I saw a lot of the...
No.
I saw a lot of red deck wins kind of builds in the Swiss that were running for Brute Force, and a lot of the decks I saw online coming into the event would run Brute Force.
Right. think you block here.
The DeRosa version ran it. I saw them win a game with brute force Fatal Frenzy.
What card is he? I mean, this has got to be Levy deciding to trade a Burn Spell and a Sulfur Elemental. Right. He gets a Gargadon counter, and then trades a card for the Sulfur.
Broke.
Yeah. Hard to see how that's a bad play for Saito.
Yeah.
Damage stack.
Yeah, okay.
Damage on the stack. Levy sacks. Here comes, what is it? Another arrows or a burn spell? Rift Bolt, wow. Sulfur Elemental plus Rift Bolt for Wildfire Emissary. Awesome trade for Saito.
It feels like Levy's been forced to make
bad trades.
Bad trades all match.
Trading Serrated Arrows for a Mogwar Marshal. 2 cards per emissary.
Go.
And then we have another emissary just waiting in the wings here.
Yeah. Saito's going to be able to attack for 2 and then drop another emissary. Oh, did you just draw Utopia Vow?
Heck.
I'm pretty sure I saw a green card.
Could be Timbermare.
Go.
There's Wildfire Emissary.
Token.
Yeah.
Gargadon's down to, I think, 6-ish counters.
Funny, Timbermare is actually not very good against Gargadon.
There's another Gargadon in Levy's hand, plus a Rift Bolt. Levy's got 7 mana, and again, at Rift Bolt, staring over Wildfire Emissary. Like, what does he do about Wildfire Emissary? Levy's got 7 mana, cannot hard cast the Gargadon. Does he suspend the Rift Bolt?
Yeah, he just suspends a Gargadon.
Yeah, I guess so.
Although he, on the board, can cast it more quickly. No, he suspends the Rift Bolt. Yep. Just has to hope he draws something.
Right.
So, Gargadon can come out if Levy sacks all his lands? Is that right?
Yeah.
Which Saito, if he's got the Utopia Vow in his hand, that I think he does, would happily do.
I think he's actually got Mr. Stompy.
Oh, he's got the Timbermare. Levy's on 8. Swift Easton is asking what the lunchtime entertainment is. And for lunch today, we're going to be showing a scroll through of the entire Future Sight set.
Wow.
So, I don't know if you just got home from the pre-release, getting ready to go back for another day tomorrow, but yeah, Future Sight itself will be on display. And then I think in addition to that, we have another previous Tokyo tournament, Zvi Malshevitz versus Tsuyoshi Fujita.
Ooh.
The finals from Pro Tour Tokyo.
Yeah,
over
funny.
at Big Sight.
I haven't seen that match.
Yeah?
Ever. Yeah, I've never seen that match. I might actually watch that.
Yeah, sure. It's a good one. 2 guys who will be on the Hall of Fame ballot this year. Tsuyoshi Fujita was the first Japanese player to make a top 8. That was the tournament. Got all the way through to the finals before. Yeah, you're right. It's Timbermare, not a Utopia Vow. Tsuyoshi got all the way to the finals before Zvi took him out with The Solution. Zvi's little blue-white deck solved the metagame. Very anti-red build. How many counters are on that Gargadon exactly?
Looks like 6.
6. So Levy has, well, 5 permanents, so it cannot come out.
I think you just attack with both here.
Pump.
Get it, yeah, or no.
Pump. You can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Suspend a Rift Bolt. Just pump once, suspend Rift Bolt. Next turn you have Timbermare.
Yeah, pump once plus the Pendelhaven.
Right.
I mean, he's got to be a little worried that Levy's got an instant speed burn spell in his hand, but yeah. 1, 2, 3. Seems like he deal 5 damage, get Levy down to 3. Suspend a Rift Bolt.
He can do 8 next turn with his hand. He wants the Gargadon out. He wants him to unsuspend the Gargadon, I think.
Well, he actually can't. He only has 5 permanents. There's 6 counters. He only has 5 permanents. It's just a question of what do you do with the mana for the Rift Bolt. I mean, he could Timbermare, but there's no good reason to Timbermare.
Well, no, he's not going to Timbermare here.
So you attack. Pendlehaven's almost certainly going to pump.
Yep.
So that's 4. I think you want to deal 5 or 6 damage here.
Yeah, he's going
to hold back War Marshal against. That's pretty reasonable, actually.
Pump up.
Because then he can do 4.
Pump up. Stuck. Quick pull.
Interesting.
Not going to suspend Rift Bolt.
Could have gotten him to 3 there with Rift Bolt in the hand.
Go.
He's just worried about the crackback from Gargadon. I guess it's pretty hard to imagine how Levy deals all this damage, but Saito does not know that he can deal 4. Huh. Gotta like Saito's chances here, though, yeah?
Oh, absolutely. So, Levy's hoping to...
And Levy suspended that Rift Bolt, remember? So.
Right. So he's hoping to... He can't get through.
Yeah. Because it's a Mogg War Marshal, I mean, Levy can Rift Bolt it, but it replaces itself.
Still can't do enough. Even if he draws the...
I'll answer for you. There's a question in the forums as to who's going to win the MVP of the National League this year. I'm sure you're a Jose Reyes man.
Oh, that's got to be Eric Froelich.
It is indeed Eric Froelich.
I am so happy, Eric Froelich. I was actually going to wear my Doc Gooden jersey in the booth today, but it's all purpose. It's Lee Mazzilli, it's Doc Gooden, it's Paul LaDuca.
I had certainly heard a lot about the New York Mets so far this weekend.
Long-suffering Met fans will become insufferable Met fans. So what does he do here? The Rift Bolt is almost pointless on the War Marshal.
I don't know. I don't like Levy's chances. He's struggling. He's trying to figure out how to get through. He's got this Gargadon. He's got another one in his hand. But, I mean, Saito has just played it great. Those Wildfire Emissaries, he brought them in from the sideboard. I mean, sure looked like an anti-white weenie card, but Saito knew, no, this is also an anti-red card. This guy's got 4 toughness.
He just gets a token back.
Gargadon down to 5.
Could have won here with Antonino's Fatal Frenzy.
Points another burn spell. Mogg War Marshal just took out 2 Rift Bolts. Crazy. Mogg War Marshals and Wildfire Emissaries. It just made this a nightmare for Hall of Famer Raphael Levy. And now here Tomohiro Saito sits. Trying to figure out, alright.
I think does he just suspend Rift Bolt and pass?
Don't you attack and force him to sack a bunch of lands for Gargadon? Like, the attack is lethal.
Right, he can't do anything if he uses all his mana.
Right, if you attack with Wildfire Emissary, I believe Levy is obliged to bring out Gargadon.
Absolutely. Well, yeah,
that means he's got no permanence. And then, yeah. This is why I kind of wanted Saito to get Levy down to 3, because then the Rift Bolt would definitely be lethal. But I mean, next turn, Timbermare is lethal.
Yes.
No, you clearly attack here, because you've got a 4 toughness guy. Levy's showing you...
Here it is. Showing you 5 points of damage on the board.
2 cards. Yep.
Levy's only got 1 card in his hand, right? So there's nothing he can possibly do with that storage counter mana to kill Wildfire Emissary.
Yep.
He can't deal 4 damage at instant speed with 1 card. So he has to bring out the Gargadon. which requires he has to move all in. He has to attack all 5 of his permanents.
But to follow that metaphor, he's drawing dead.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think there's just no conceivable out here.
Raphael Levy will look like he's scooping. In fact, he's bringing out a Gargadon. She desperately hopes will be good enough. He brought it out once before. Dead Gone bounced it to his hand. He brings it out again. Hoping against hope. He's like, can I block? Yeah, he does get the block. Okay, well, that's kind of good news for Raph. He didn't get Dead Gone. Didn't get bounced. But yeah, there's the Rift Bolt. And we know Timbermare. Oh, he attacks? Yeah, sure. Might as well. There's the Timbermare for the win. Tomoharu Saito wins 3-1. Saito will be taking on Kazuya Mitamura in the semifinals. Raphael Levy picked up his 3rd top 8 of his career, the first one in 9 years, but he could not get the win. Exits in the quarterfinals. Just a rough matchup. Saito figured out the perfect sideboarding plan. Mug War Marshals, Wildfire Emissaries, cards that Levy had to spend multiple cards to deal with. Just a great sideboard plan from Tomoharu Saito.
And it seemed like Levy was struggling with his sideboard plan from game to game.
Yeah. All right, so we will go back to the main table, Table A. We will be watching the 5th game between Paulo Carvalho and Guillaume Wafotapa. It is 2 games apiece. It is sort of the classic battle. We've seen the 3rd different battle in the quarterfinals of Mystical Teachings Control versus Red-Green.
Versus Red-Green Timmy.
Guillaume Wafotapa is on the right of your screen. You have not seen him on Sunday before, but you have been playing his decks for years. The Wafotapa control deck that emerged from Pro Tour Honolulu was really a force in that qualifying season. Dramo de Louvre at Worlds last year has become a force in Standard recently. And there's Paulo Carvalho, top 8 at Worlds, playing only his 3rd Pro Tour this weekend in Yokohama, but it is 2nd top 8 already. Very impressive. And just an awesome... he's got his take on the red-green is all about the fatties. And he's not, ramping up slowly but surely with...
He's got even more acceleration than the other decks. He's got the Lotus Bloom plan. He's got the Rada plan.
Yeah, Rada and Lotus Bloom, very explosive version of the red green.
He's got the Wall of Roots. He's got
and here's turn 2 Wall of Roots. Turn 1 Suspend Search for tomorrow. Turn 2 Wall of Roots,
which powers out turn 3 Spectral Force if you have it.
Yeah, does he have turn 3 Spectral Force? Looking at his hand, I see Crossing Grip, Rada. Didn't see a Spectral Force. Meanwhile, Wafotapa does have a Damnation in his hand.
Some blinding lands from Wafotapa.
His are shiny. He's got the shinies going on. All right, Search for Tomorrow resolved. Rada. The turn 3 play. Not the most exciting turn 3.
Well, it's interesting because he had one Volley Acid Moss and he chose
Rada instead?
He chose Rada instead. He's looking to, I think he's looking to get out of Hellkite during his next attack step.
Is that right? Does that work? Rada gives him 2 mana, he can flash out a Hellkite on turn 4?
I think he needs another land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He needs one more.
If he plays a land, he can flash out a Hellkite on turn 4.
Yeah.
Wow. Wafotapa plays a land and ships the turn. Has he got 3 islands and a factory?
Yes.
So he's got the Damnation in his hand, but no sign of black mana. And he's just been thinking twice. Yeah. Now what's Carvalho up to? Sacking Expanse.
Some shiny deck from Wafotapa.
Charges up the storage land. One, 2, 3, 4. There's the Acid Boss. Points it at the Urza's Factory. Not going to blue screw him, so
yeah.
Take away his other option. Is that an Orborg in Wafotapa's hand or just a swamp?
I think it's an Expanse.
Okay, it is an expand. So he gets access to 1 black mana, but not 2. Meanwhile, I think Wafatop is trying to debate whether to just go ahead and flashback think twice here. But could also counterspell the Acid Moss. Would you counterspell this Acid Moss?
He knows that there's a small number of big threats in Carvalho's deck. I think he's going to want to save his cancel.
I think I agree with you. Carvalho's hand is Spectral Force, Hellkite, Krosan Grip, Harmonize. Oh, Wafatapa decides to cancel the Acid Moss. So Rada attacks. Now, does Carvalho just burn here off that
No,
mana?
it's not mandatory. You can choose.
Oh, you don't have to get the mana?
Nope.
All right. Shouldn't he have gotten the mana and used it to charge up? Otherwise, he's going to have to use a Wall of Roots counter, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, because he can use 1 mana to put it on, and then 1 mana to take 0 counters.
Yeah. I guess you have to know that you can take off 0 counters. I'm sure he knows. That is Harmonize. Carvalho wants to draw some cards. And another cancel from Wafatapa.
Who's slowly creeping into that, position where...
Yeah, he is not taking a lot of damage. He's managed to stop anything crazy from happening. I mean, the way Carvalho's hand came together, he didn't quite have the explosive craziness, but it's not clear it would have resolved anyway. He's actually been kind of baiting counters. He's got the Spectral Force and Hellkite. He's got the heavy hitters left in his hand. But, I mean, if Wafotapo manages to piece his black mana together... It's interesting, yeah. I mean, Carvalho's deck has got explosive craziness. This has not been his most explosive draw. He had almost all the mana he could possibly want. But not quite 8 for the dragon right away. And now, his Acid Moss got countered, his Harmonize got countered. Has not accomplished a whole lot, other than bleeding out some counters. Wafatapa gets planes with the expanse.
So.
Interesting.
He has a similar package to
Tahezi?
Tahezi after sideboarding.
Oh, he sideboards into the white plains.
He sideboards in the plains, yeah. I'm just taking a look at his... And he doesn't have the white storage land that Tahezi has.
Okay. But he does have, Temporal Isolation, presumably.
His white package is Disenchant, Temporal Isolation, and Pull from Eternities, which, are obviously not really coming in this match.
Here's careful consideration. It just seems like Carvalho almost had this awesome opening, and Guillaume has just managed to not die. No, don't do that, don't do anything, give me some time, I'm going to set up, I'm going to draw some cards. And, I mean, inevitability has to be on Guillaume's side.
Well, there's the Urborg.
Yeah, that'll set up the damnation.
That's the on switch for the deck.
No teachings yet, or he has a teachings. He has no tendrils, but he can teachings 1 up if he gets time. Trying to figure out what to discard to careful consideration. Looking at the lands. Discard 1 of his 2 teachings, I think.
It'll
worried
be
about
back.
time. Yeah, I mean, he'll still get to flash it back, but he's worried about time. Yeah, there's land, and then I think you tap out for lands. Yep.
Sure.
So now he's up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana.
He's gonna take a Hellkite hit this turn.
Yeah, but he knows he can untap next turn, play land 8, teachings for tendrils.
Sure.
Kill something, gain a lot of life. At 16, he can afford to tap out here. I mean, by countering those early spells, he's able to sort of get to the point where he's got 7, 8 mana in play and still 16 life to work with. There's Harmonize is what Carvalho chooses to do. That's interesting. Could have flashed out a dragon. Could have gotten a...
Could have played a Spectral Force. Could have played a Stormbud.
Could have played Retachroma. Well, he drew Retachroma off the Harmonize. So he's playing a card advantage game here. Decides while Guillaume's tapped out, took the opportunity to get off the Harmonize. Does he get to do anything else this turn?
He can grip the lens.
Huh. What's the grip in there for? What's he afraid of?
Maybe the Temporal Isolation.
Okay.
And I think it's there for the... I mean, people were talking about how important it is to kill the lenses from the control decks
Interesting.
It's extra land destruction for him.
So, taps Rada. Oh, plays a morph. 5th counter off the wall of roots. Taps Rada for mana. And down comes what we know to be Retachroma. Does he have any other morphs? Or does
No.
Guillaume knows that's Retachroma.
I guess he could have a Fortune Thief. He could have sided in Fortune Thief against the Damnation deck.
So do you Damnation here? Seems like you do, right? Because Rada can flip the Angel.
Yeah.
Right?
The storage lands could flip the Angel at this point.
Seems like get rid of Rada, get rid of the Angel. Nice solid 2 for 1. And then he leaves up 4 for teachings end step. Is he hesitant to commit the Urborg to the board?
Possibly. He can't protect it.
Right.
Yeah, the grip's actually uncounterable in land destruction. Since it's got split second.
Sure.
There's the Urborg, there's the Damnation.
Yep, I think that's the right play.
Let him play whatever he wants this turn, go get right teachings up at tendrils.
And here's Spectral Force.
Which is going to die to tendrils.
Ha. Does it really? Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
And if he just needs one more land, which I believe he has in hand. I believe he's holding a swamp.
Yep. Wow. And he could get isolation too, but tendrils gaining 8.
Why not be at 28? Or 24.
Also takes Crossman Grip out of play. Tim Ayton is defending white-bordered cards
Really?
in the forums. Yeah, he's saying as long as they're pre-revised, they're sort of old school enough to be cool.
It's not a matter of cool.
Yeah, he agrees. You have to sync up the languages and the art for Megas, but if you sync them all up with revised disintegrates, Tim's cool with that.
I mean, I guess there's a certain punk rock sensibility to the white bordered
Exactly.
cards.
I think that's exactly the point.
I'm getting this weird.
Oh, here comes Aeon Chronicler. How many did he suspend it for? Just the one, but still. Tendrils took care of Spectral Force. Watho-Tapa's gained a bunch of life. Now he's drawing some cards. He's starting to turn on the attack, potentially, with that Chronicler.
What do you think
He's down to 1 card in hand, though.
I keep looking at this premature burial.
What?
That is the one card in Watho-Tapa's hand, and I feel like suddenly I'm in Geneva at the Limited Pro Tour.
What does it do?
Kills a creature that's come into play since last year.
Oh, right. Wow. Is that good? Apparently it's good enough. If Guillaume Watho-Tapa's playing it, everyone else is going to be, right?
I believe Guillaume Watho-Tapa.
Grip full of gas for Paulo Carvalho. I mean, the game has gone according to plan for Watho-Tapa to this point, but Carvalho got off that 1 Harmonize. He's still got some gas. He's got a Stormbind in his hand. He's got a Hellkite. Stormbind's pretty irrelevant, given the life total, I guess. So that hand basically just the dragon? Oh, Guillaume looks like he's only got 1 card in his hand. He's got 2 different teachings in the graveyard.
And
So
suspended.
Well, Chronicler resolved.
Oh, okay. Yeah, has enough mana to just search up cancel at a moment's notice.
They're suggesting that Heezy needs like a hot tub for occasions like this. He can go be the party guy between rounds while he's waiting. Turn his brain back on when the semifinals start.
When we talk about Heezy being a party guy, I don't think we're really talking about hot tubs as much as we're talking about buckets of ice.
Could be in a hot tub.
Could be in a hot tub.
Sushi is greater than Future Sight for lunch. I'm forced to agree. I'm hoping there's sushi for lunch. We'll see. Future Sight, pretty good scroll for what do we can't exactly give away sushi to the folks at home. So.
No. We do have a beautiful picture.
The tray?
Of the tray of
the Otoro?
Of Otoro.
So good.
Oh, well. Just tutored up a Haunting Him.
That will take care of all the gas in Paulo Carvalho's hand.
With a flashback mystical teachings.
How many cards does Carvalho have? Does he just have the 4? Well, let me take this opportunity to put this Hellkite on the table.
Let me dragon you. Let me cancel
No,
that.
sir. 5 cards left in Carvalho's hand.
No, 1 card left in Carvalho's hand. What's he going to keep?
He's got Stormbind, 2 Search for Tomorrows, a Crossing Grip, and a Wand Volley Acid Moss.
Keeping Stormbind as the last card in your hand doesn't seem...
With your opponent at 24?
Terribly exciting, but none of the other cards seem terribly exciting either. Although I guess the Acid Moss could take out the order board.
Guess. 16 to 24.
But you know your opponent's always holding another Urborg.
There is the Haunting Him, main phase. Guillaume teaching it up. That 1 card is very, very useful. Situations just like this. Guillaume's like, I've sort of almost got control, but I don't know what my opponent's got in his hand.
As he cast that, Pierre Canali came by the booth and did a little salsa dance for his good friend Guillaume.
Yes. Things looking pretty good for the Frenchman.
It's an exciting group of French deck builders, by the way. Pierre Canali, Guillaume Wafotapa, Jonathan Rispal, who's not a name people that really know, but works with those guys, built the Eggs deck at Worlds.
Carvalho did keep the Acid Moss.
Yep.
Yep, here's Acid Moss. Going to point it at the Orborg.
See Devin Lowe sitting in the background doing the feature match report. Do you think he's just wrapped this one up already and just working on his closing sentence? I don't really see. Could Caravallo come back?
Hard to imagine. There's still a teachings left, right?
I guess he could hardcast a Retachroma.
True.
Can't teachings up Damnation if he doesn't have it.
Yeah, that's his out. Retachroma.
Oh, but wait a second. Maybe that's what the premature burials are for. It's a black removal spell that kills Retachroma.
It's true. And can be teaching it up.
Actually, I don't think it can be teachings up. It's a sorcery. That's you're thinking of.
Sorry.
Cradle to Grave, which is the instant. That's why he has 3 of them. Oh, yeah, there you go. Now we know.
Thank goodness we have air conditioning in a booth this time.
Oh, it's so nice. And it's the big booth, too.
Yeah, they take care of us here in Japan.
What time is it back home?
My laptop says it's 9:12 p.m.
So it's about midnight on the East Coast and 9 o'clock your time. So people staying up late. Not as bad as getting up at 3 in the morning, I guess.
Well, the European crowd are like, it's 4 in the morning, but I'm up. Let's do it. I'm here for the long haul.
But when we were in Europe, the North American crowd was saying the same thing, right?
So Guillaume's going to flash back at teachings.
You just feel gluttonous at this point in the game. Do you feel like you're just going back for thirds? While people are starving?
Probably he's just looking over. I don't know that he knows how to get out of this, too. Is it teachings for teachings? Yeah, teachings for teachings. Guillaume just making sure nothing goes wrong. Feeling pretty good about his chances of squaring off against Mark Herberholz in the semis.
Right.
Yeah, you've got the. There will be a Japanese player in the finals here. We've got Minamura playing against Saito on one side of the bracket. The other side of the bracket will be teachings versus teachings. A couple of just constructed masters, Mark Herberholz and Guillaume Wafatapo. These guys know these decks. They've got, every card is in there for a reason. That'll be an interesting one.
Yeah, and there's a couple interesting cards in Wafatapa's deck that we haven't really talked about. But Triska Levis,
Oh, and he's got Academy Ruins for
and
that
Academy
too, right?
Ruins, kind of interesting. But Mark Herberholz has more extirpates,
Okay.
which could be the. Yeah, there's only one extirpate in Wafatapa's deck, and I believe there's after sideboard for Herberholz. There are three. He has 3 after sideboard, so he can really shut down all the control elements of Wafatapa's deck.
Sure.
You can get rid of the cancels. You can get rid of the game 2 dismal failures.
Is that Retachroma?
No, that's a Hellkite.
Oh, it's a Hellkite. Takes down the Chronicler. Knocks Wafatapu all the way down to 23. And
Premature Burial.
Premature Burial. Opening up a window for Retachroma?
Does open up a window.
But Carvalho's got no follow-up. And Wafatapu has a backup Premature Burial in his hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Funny. Siriaton42 posted the message board. I never thought that 4X event I won would have this big of an influence. We found the guy that won the Magic Online event we've been talking about all weekend.
Oh, really?
It's good to see some of that white weedy hate that Saito was playing isn't being useless, because the Wildfires just won in the match. With all the coverage, my popularity on Moto has shot up, however.
Well done. Congratulations.
Absolutely. You changed the Pro Tour.
I'm curious if he's still listening right now. I mean, what does he think? What does he think he's going to play in the PTQs or in the PEs after this event? He obviously had the right read for that PE.
Sure.
So sign back, log back in and tell us what you'd play.
Oh, where's his factory?
In the factory.
Wafatapa's got the factory
Yeah,
going.
you guys always knew the factory was just a solid constructed card.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we made the full art version of it that we gave away. I mean, it seemed like, I mean, it's not tier 1 going to, dominate formats, but it's a solid role player. It's kind of what we thought it would be.
It's been I think one of the big.
It's had its breakout weekend.
I mean, if Bogart and Hellkite is the mascot of red decks everywhere this weekend, then
the factory is what the control decks
factory
are
is
all
what
about.
control deck, man. Yeah.
Well, here's the Spectral Force from Carvalho. That seems like it should be exciting, except of course that it isn't. Wafatapu just has to decide which way he wants to deal with it.
It's like a 10-life vitamin for Wafatapu. Actually, he might not have it. He might not have any more.
He's got a
tendrils.
teachings.
He might not have any more tendrils. He only has 2.
Even after sideboarding?
Yeah. He only runs 2. He doesn't run the full
Really?
package that
Even after sideboarding?
Easy runs.
Surprising. Although kind of interesting that they both concluded 2 was the right main deck number. Carvalho says Draining Welk. Wafatapu just nods and says, yep, I'm going to get a Draining Welk, and Carvalho extends the hand. So congratulations, Guillaume Wafatapu emerges victorious in Game 5. It'll be Wafatapu versus Herberholz. It'll be Saito versus Mitamura, and it'll all take place after the lunch break. Brian and I will be back in about an hour 15. Please hope you guys enjoy checking out Future Sight and checking out the battle between Tsuyoshi Fujita and Zvi Malshewitz. We'll be back with semifinal coverage of Pro Tour Yokohama, so stay tuned.